Good afternoon. My name is Zach Dawson. Today I'm going to be talking to you about why the United States should abolish the death penalty. I'd like to start with a quote from Amnesty International's Deputy Director for the Middle East and North Africa, Asabi Sorasi, once said, "All executions violate the right of life. Those carried out publicly are a gross affront to human dignity, which should not be tolerated." I think the death penalty is something that needs to be discussed and something that definitely needs to be abolished. I'd like to start with some facts regarding the death penalty. The annual number of U.S. executions peaked at 98 in 1999, which has fallen and decreased since. I'm going to put a picture up of some data regarding the number of executions taking place within the country. In 2017, for the second year in a row, the U.S. was not among the world's top five countries leading in executions, which is good because before 2017, the U.S. was consistently in the top five for the amount of executions that took place. The support for the death penalty has recently been growing since 2017, but before that, there was a steady decrease in support for the death penalty. I'm going to provide some data regarding the support and non-support for the death penalty on the screen now. There's racial, gender, religious, and political divides on opinions regarding the death penalty and these executions, which I think can cause a lot of conflict, and that's not a good thing. I'd like to give some data on the number of executions that took place in the United States last year. Last year, there was 20 executions in the U.S. by lethal injection, and 2 executions were taking place through the form of electrocution in the state of Tennessee last year. There's a few reasons I think the death penalty should be abolished. The first one being that the death penalty is completely irreversible and permanent. People can be killed for crimes they didn't commit based on lack of evidence and things like that. Like in 2004, Cameron Willingham was executed for the killing of his 3 daughters. But once he was dead, there was further information provided to prove his innocence. But once this happens, you can't bring him back to life and he's gone forever. And I think that is a horrible, horrible thing. Another reason is that there's no evidence it deters crime. The death penalty being abolished in Canada only brought a decrease in murders. So I don't think that the death penalty really is effectively telling people that murder is a bad thing. I think it's more promoting that violence and the killing. Another reason is that there's no way to kill a human in a humane way. In 2006, Angel Diaz received a lethal injection that took over 30 minutes to kill him, and he needed 2 doses. The doctors in charge of his execution said that this was likely incredibly painful, and this pain doesn't alleviate the pain for the victim's parents or family, and these executions only continue the cycle of violence and promote killing through the government. Another reason is that the death penalty makes a complete public spectacle out of one individual's death. Once a criminal has committed a crime and receives the death penalty, this becomes very public and is promoted all across the country. And that definitely can be a negative thing for people. Another reason is that the death penalty is disappearing pretty quickly around the world, and that 106 countries have completely abolished the death penalty, and countries still carrying out executions and abiding by the death penalty are definitely in the minority around the world. My solution to this problem, instead of the death penalty, is to give these criminals life sentences in prisons without a chance of release. I don't think we should be killing people for any of their actions. I don't think it's right for the government to have that as an option for them, and I think that these criminals should have to sit in a cell and deal with the fact that they did this and should not be killed by our government. These funds saved by getting rid of the death penalty could be used to compensate victims' families for loss of income, provide grief counseling, and offer much-needed services, all of which help the victims' families far more than the promise of a killing of that criminal one day. I think that this money spent to kill these criminals can be used in much different ways, and that these criminals should have to deal with their actions and the things that they've done. There are countless arguments for and against the death penalty. In an imperfect world where we can never be sure we have ever got the worst of the worst, is it justified to take somebody's life? I hope you guys seriously consider everything I've said today. I appreciate you guys listening to me, and yep.